When you start a new project in Pro Tools, you will be faced with the edit window. So in other videos, we're going to be looking through all of these functions, but for now, we're going to be looking at creating a new track. Now, when you create a new track, there's a few ways to do this. Now, you can't edit audio, you can't do anything in audio in Pro Tools without tracks. That's where the audio is going to live, basically. So we're going to look at the three ways in which you can create a new track. So the first way is by going track new. So that will create this window right here. Now there is another way to do it by using a shortcut, which is Command-Shift-N, or on a PC, Ctrl-Shift-N. Now that will open up this window. So we're going to go through this window here. So on the left here, you've got create, and you can do as many numbers as you want. Probably you may not want to create 2,000 tracks, but you can create 1, 2, 3, 12, whatever you want. So for now, we're going to do 1. The next one is mono or stereo. Now, if you're using Pro Tools Ultimate, or if you're using a Pro Tools that can support multiple outputs, then that will expand into LCR and different things for surround sound, but for now we've got mono and stereo. The majority of you will be having mono and stereo. Now, mono tracks are if you are going to be recording or editing one channel of audio, and stereo will be for 2. So you'll find if you're importing stereo music files, or if you're recording 2 microphones at the same time that are linked, so maybe you're doing a stereo configuration, but it's up to you to decide if you've got 1 channel or 2, mono or stereo. So we're going to create mono. And for now, we're just going to be focusing on what the track type is for audio tracks. You can have auxiliary inputs, master faders, VCA masters, MIDI tracks, and instrument tracks. You can also have your own track presets. Now, I'm, for now, just looking at audio tracks. And this here is samples or ticks. Now, the best way to understand what a sample or a tick is that a sample is going to be time-based. So if you have audio which is sample-based, it will be, time, complete and utter time-based. It won't change with what's called tempo. If you have it set to ticks, it will alter based on its relative time. So if you think of tempo, if you have something that's going in that tempo, roughly 120 BPM, then if you speed up the tempo, ticks will speed up with the tempo. It will be relative time. One way to test that theory is audio. You'll usually find, unless you're doing something very specific, which we will cover later, audio will be in samples, because if you change the tempo, you don't want all of your audio to suddenly change. Now, look at if I make an instrument track, that now changes to ticks. Now, MIDI does like ticks, and we'll cover MIDI later, but you will find that Pro Tools will automatically decide what's best for you. So if I made an instrument like a piano, then if I play in a certain tempo and I change the tempo, the ticks will change, but the audio will stay the same. So there we go, Pro Tools will change that. And then this, if you click on plus, you can create other tracks. Now, what you could do is create 6 mono audio tracks and then 2 stereo instrument tracks. And then that'll do that, and that'll create that all for you. And if I click on this, it'll get rid of it. Now, the shortcuts, there's some handy little shortcuts here. If you wish to change this here, the track type, what you do is you hold Command and press up and down, and that will change it. And on PC, it's Control. If you wish to change to mono or stereo, what you do is you hold Command again, and you press left and right, or Control and left and right. If you wish to change from samples and ticks, what you're going to do is Command Option or Ctrl+Alt up and down, and it'll change that. And also, when you've made a new line here, if you press Tab, it'll cycle between them. And if you've got multiple, Tab will go down, Shift Tab will go up. So we're going to get rid of these just for the sake of it. We're going to create a mono audio track in samples. and it'll pop up here. Now there is a third way to do tracks, and that is to double click in the blank space here below. And that will make the same type of track that's up there. So I'm just going to go in the mix window here, window mix. And if you just watch, when I double click, this is a mono track. You can tell because it's just got one fader, one pan control. If you double click, now if we look at the mix window, there we go. We've got another mono track. I'm going to do it again. Got 3 there. Now, if there are no tracks, now there is another way to do this. You can right click and go to new. So you can right click on the name and go to new. So there's actually 4 ways. So there's quite a few ways to do it. Now, if there are no tracks here, if you double click, it will automatically make a track there as well. And the final thing, which is pretty cool, if you wish to create a track with the same audio width, now what I mean by width is mono or stereo as the previous track, you hold Command or Control and double click. So let's say, for example, we've made a stereo audio track. Now, depending on what your settings are, if I double click below it, it'll do the same as before. Now, what you could have here is you could have a stereo instrument track there. There's a stereo instrument track. Now, I wish to make a stereo audio track. If I hold Control and double click, I've got a stereo track. If I wish to make, if I had a, I don't know, let's have a look here, a mono instrument track there, and I wish to make a mono audio track, hold Command, double click, and you'll get that. So there's quite a few ways to do it here. So hopefully that will make sense, and that is creating tracks. So in a nutshell, if you want to do it quickly, Shift Command N, like that, pick whatever one you want. Let's do a stereo audio track, create, and there it is.